I don't know. As a Bills fan, I'm just so exhausted. Wow. What a huge win for the Buffalo Bills. Primetime game against they're probably their biggest arch rival in the AFC. And we all know what happened in that divisional round game last year. But not this time. Not this time. The Buffalo Bills and their defense stepped up when it was time came down to it. When it came down to it, the Bills defense was there. They were there at the moment, and they were able to win the game. And for as good as Josh Allen was in this game, there was a couple of moments where he wasn't so good. It was the defense. This game was won because of Leslie Frazier and the Bills' defense. They were able to get pressure on Patty Mahomes in the second half, with Von Miller especially. They were able to get that big interception on the first drive of the game by Kyra Lamb in the end zone, and they were able to seal the deal right at the end there with Taron Johnson. It was a defensive struggle. I don't think anyone was expecting that going into this game, but that's what it turned into. And I'm still in shock. My heart was racing. I don't know about you guys. How fast were your hearts pacing once we scored that touchdown? I celebrated for a split moment. I turned to the clock and I was like, uh oh. There's a minute and 4 seconds left. Patty Mahomes, this is the exact same thing that happened last time. But no, it is not. The Bills have turned it around, and they were able to get the huge win here. Vernon, what's up? Congrats on the win. Kansas City lost. America won. Yep, pretty much. Woo, yeah, Buffalo Sports, what's up? Huge win for the Bills. Huge win. Oh my God. Oh wow. I'm so shocked right now. I'm so shocked. That is an absolutely incredible game. Kansas City played fantastic as well. Their defense balled out. And so did the Bills. The Bills' defense was fantastic as well. And at the end, it came down to who made not as much mistakes, and that was the Buffalo Bills. They had that mistake early on in the first half, but in the second half, the defense clamped down. They had a couple of phantom calls against them in the first half, but in the second half, they were able to clutch up and get the result, the huge win. They go into the bye week with all this momentum, 5-1. Holy, just wow. 7 people in the chat. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Don, and I don't think I was the most nervous Bills fan in America, but I was one of them. Swaggy, what's up? Who wins, Eagles or Cowboys? Has to be Eagles. Has to be the Eagles. Cooper Rush, he's undefeated as a starter, yes, but they're not winning because of him. They're winning because of great defense, and I think the Eagles are a more complete team than the Cowboys. Much like how the Bills they have that little edge today on the Chiefs because they were a little bit more of a complete team than Kansas City was. So, Philly wins. They remain undefeated probably, but the Bills just solidified themselves with this win for now, barring any huge upset losses that they have for the rest of the season. They just solidified themselves as the best team in the AFC. But I do not expect this to be the final time the Bills face the Chiefs this season. I expect something later on in the postseason as well. And it wasn't the biggest game ever. It wasn't the most hype game ever. But it was a fist fight. This was a bar holds none, punch for punch, trading it 1 for 1. It was a rough game. I'm sure both fan bases, I have a lot of respect for the Chiefs defense now. I really underestimated them. I think a lot of the Bills Mafia did too. But they really balled out today. Their secondary kind of held up besides those 2 touchdowns from Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs and Dawson Knox. Other than that, they were very good. Cowboys defense carrying that team allowed fewer than 20 points in each game. Yeah, they have been really impressive this season. Really impressive. But the Bills defense, they only gave up 20 points against Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead? Really? Wow. Just wow. I thought this was going to be the same kind of game that right at the end of halftime, or right at the end of the second quarter, Harrison Butker went freak mode and was able to get that long-range field goal to tie the game up just before halftime. And they came back down the field again. It looked like the same thing was happening. It looked like the same thing was going to happen to Buffalo. More heartbreak. But this is a different team. This is a team that is now proven to have overcome adversity, and it's really been impressive. But wow. What a game. What a game by the Bills defense. I wouldn't give as much praise to the Bills offense because for large stretches of that game, they really were not giving their defense any help. Some of the decisions, going for it at 4th and 3 at midfield tied up in the beginning of the fourth quarter, I don't really get it. Going for 4th and goal early on when you could have just been down by a point. Instead, you're down by 4, and it's some of these things that it's the decision making, it's the execution, specifically Isaiah Mckenzie. Isaiah Mckenzie needs to figure his crap out because he is not playing very well. Mckenzie might just have lost himself a job, not gonna lie. Yeah, I think so. I think he did not play good enough at all. He had 2 catches on 6 targets, and those 4 incompletions he had, all of those were catchable. They were all catchable. If there's one player that I could single out, it would be Isaiah Mckenzie, and then probably Saran Neal for the defense. He was at fault for that long 42-yard Juju Smith-Schuster touchdown, and then he had a couple of really bad holding calls late in the game that extended Chiefs' drives unnecessarily. I mean, some of the penalties were not on the Bills. I don't know what Brad Allen and the refs were cooking up today, but they were seeing ghosts out there because some of the calls they were making, I don't know what they're looking at. Do not know what's happening there. But, just a fantastic game. I just wanted to get my quick reaction out there. It's just, it was great. It was great from Buffalo. Just fantastic. The fact that they were able to go into Arrowhead, exercise their demons again, go 5-1, they now have the tiebreaker over the Kansas City Chiefs. So if it comes to that point where the Chiefs and the Bills are tied at the end of the season, the Bills get that home field advantage. It's not going to be like last year where the Bills dropped all of their games against the other top seeds. They didn't do that. They lost last year to those top seeds, and because of that, they were costed home field advantage past the first round. Not this year. This year could be different, and they just took a step in the right direction. The defenses didn't want to look like Alabama at Tennessee from yesterday. That was crazy. And yes, the refs did miss a blatant tripping call, but there was a offensive pass interference on Travis Kelce that they called on Travis Kelce that was not an OPI. So the refs were bad for both teams. It wasn't just they were out to get the Bills. There was calls against the Bills and the Chiefs. They were just bad. I hate when in the big games the NFL refs decide to insert themselves. They get over officious. Excuse me. Get over officiative, and they really play a bigger role than they should in games that really are fantastic, that don't need that. They don't need that. It's not great if you're Brad Allen. It's another bad look for the NFL. There seems to be another bad call with every game that's played. It's not a good look. The refs have been taking a beating this year so far in the first 6 weeks. Still a couple more games to go. We may get even worse, at least, by the way, that we only have 4 days until Thursday Night Football, so we can breathe a sigh of relief from bad calls and bad football. But today we got a good football game, an even football game between the two best teams by far in the AFC. And at the end of the day, the Bills came out on top. What a huge, huge result for them. Sean McDermott looked absolutely thrilled. He just beat his mentor. But this is the second straight year that the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in Arrowhead in the regular season. Last year they did it too. No one remembers that because of the playoff game. I get that because the playoff game was where it's actually matters. But this is the second straight year, and this is a crucial victory for Buffalo. This is a really crucial victory. They just put themselves on a good path to be the number one seed in the AFC. So that's a really huge plus for them. It's going to get really good. That's going to be really good to have in their back pocket as they move on and face teams like the Packers. And now the Vikings are good, apparently. Even though I think the Vikings are frauds at 5-1 because they've had a pretty soft schedule. They've knocked the teams off that they should, but they've had a soft schedule. I think the Vikings are going to be good. They still have to face the Bengals, who you never know which Bengals you're going to get, half to half, game to game. So that's late in the season. You still have the Patriots twice, and maybe there's a QB controversy happening there with Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones. You never know. But I think that the Bills, they have a favorable outlook for the rest of the season on their schedule. And as far as I'm aware, they're not favored. Or they're favored in every single one of their remaining 12 games here. Or 17. No. Jeez. 11 games, yeah. Their final 11 games, they're favored in every single one of them. Rightly so. This was the brutal stretch, and they were able to get 5 out of 6 wins. And arguably, they should have been 6-0 going into the bye week. I'm okay with 5-1, though. You knocked off the Rams. You knocked off the Titans. Those are two big demons that the Bills had to get rid of. They knocked off the Chiefs. You knocked off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Those are all 4 of those teams. They're not bad. Maybe the Rams are. The Rams are bad. The Titans should be in playoff contention. The Ravens could be in playoff contention if they could stop blowing leads, of course. And obviously the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Patty Mahomes you can never count him out of a Super Bowl. But this was the critical stretch for the Bills, and they have gotten out of it relatively unscathed. And now that they're healthy again, they have the bye week, and they have a favorable outlook to their schedule. Things are looking really up, and I think the rest of the NFL should be scared because who's going to stop the Bills at this point? If the Chiefs couldn't, who can? Maybe Miami. Maybe Miami. I'm just kidding. Miami Dolphins. They had their Super Bowl in week 3, and now look where they are. They're 3-3. God. Dolphins being like, oh, we're the best team in the AFC East. Look at us. Look at us go. Well, who just knocked off Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead? We did. We did. Guess who lost to the New York Jets? Miami did. But speaking of the New York Jets, they're actually good this year, aren't they, guys? They're actually good. Maybe they're the biggest threat to the Bills in the AFC East now. Now that the Patriots are also 3-3. The Jets are 4-2. The Dolphins are 3-3 as well. So the division is getting a little competitive. Below the Bills, of course. So as long as the Bills don't start going on a losing streak, they'll be okay. But I just wanted to get on very quickly, calm myself down live on camera, because I was thinking about going live for the last 2 minutes there, but I think there's going to be a lot of cuss words and a lot of emotion going on there. So I just wanted to come on when I was a little bit more, nonchalant, more calm, relieved, actually. And as long as I wasn't raging, I was going to be okay, I think. And I am okay now because the Bills have knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs off the back of Josh Allen and off the back of Von Miller and this defense. They all did very good. James Zylstra. So what's the most surprising team this season? It's got to be the New York Giants. Brian Daboll and the New York Giants, they are 5-1. Remarkably, they've killed the Packers. They got the Ravens just today. They've been fantastic. And I've been rooting for the Giants because I love Brian Daboll. He was fantastic here in Buffalo. For once, we had a coordinator who was a fan favorite. Last couple of OCs the Bills had were not great. Not great. And Brian Daboll came in. He was awesome. He was a fan favorite. He was emotional, as you guys can clearly see when he's the coach of the Giants now. But it's got to be the Giants. They are 5-1 with a team that they have a legit defense. Wink Martindale's doing a great job there. But their offense is dog crap. It's not good. So that the fact that they're able to be 5-1 with that offense just shows how good of a coach Brian Daboll is. Vernon, exactly, yeah. And I think the Bills are not surprising. Maybe they may have surprised a couple of people with this game, I guess. But the Bills are doing right around where I said they would be going into this year. I did a predictions video way back in the summer, and I predicted that they'd be 5-1 going into the bye week, even though I did say instead of losing to the Dolphins, they'd lose to the Chiefs, but that didn't happen. Thank God. But this is right where they're at, so really the Bills are not a surprising team. They are legit Super Bowl contenders. Everyone was saying that, and so far they've played like ones. They have played like a Super Bowl team besides Isaiah Mckenzie, of course. Besides Isaiah Mckenzie. He's not been good. But we got 8 people here right now. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'm a Bills fan, by the way. The Bills have just knocked off the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a great game, really competitive game, and this is the second. The Bills are now 2-1 in one-score games this year. Remember that losing streak where they were 0-7 in one-score games and they couldn't pull it out? Josh Allen, he just did it. He finally did it. His second game-winning drive over the last 2 seasons combined. So that was a rough step, but he just took a step in the right direction. A giant one, actually. Von Miller was the missing piece of that defense. Absolutely. And Tony Romo said it a couple times on the broadcast. He kept calling Von Miller the closer, and I couldn't call it any better myself. Von Miller is a closer. He had 2 sacks. He was the best player on the Bills' defense today. He came up clutch right when the Bills needed him to. Patty Mahomes looked confused. He was not happy with his offensive line a couple of times. And I have to give props. You know, when Mahomes is scrambling around for 8-9 seconds, it feels like, in the backfield, that just tells you how good the Bills' DBs are doing in coverage. That is fantastic. There was a couple of holds and PIs here and there, but for the most part, the Bills were really good in coverage, and Von Miller was really good in the pass rush too. So it was really fantastic from that defense as a whole. To be able to keep Mahomes to just 20 points, that's pretty good. I remember Doug Flutie played for Buffalo years ago. Yeah, he did. He was 1999-03, maybe 02. He got hosed by the Bills back then. Wade Phillips, I just don't know why he had a fascination for Rob Johnson, but he did, and then Trent Edwards afterwards because we failed with Flutie and Johnson. Maybe I'm getting the name wrong. Anyways, thoughts on the WGR article on Christian McCaffrey. I do think Christian McCaffrey, it's plausible that he comes to Buffalo. The Bills do need that elite running back if they're really going to solidify themselves, because it's not going to, Rob Johnson, yeah. It's not going to be all the time that Allen's going to be able to do this. And when Miami was able to take away the pass game, the Bills really didn't have that much of a run game. But I will say this, Devin Singletary looked really good today. In the first half, let me clarify, in the first half. Like, he finished the day out, 17 carries, 85 yards. That's really good. I think that's his career high, or not career high, his season high for him. So, Singletary played excellently today. But I do think that with the cap hit that McCaffrey's at right now and the cap hit that the Bills would have to absorb, that it's only about $1 million. Why not? Go for it. If you give up a second and Zach Moss and maybe a 7th or 6th, that should do it right there for you. That should do it right there. But I do think that the Bills, it sounds like they already made a trade offer, but the Panthers right now are holding a high bar with a couple weeks out from the trade deadline. Last defensive player to win the Super Bowl MVP was Von Miller. When you need to get to the quarterback, it's Miller time. Yes. Is it worth any first rounds, though? Like I just said, no. I think at most you give up a second rounder in Zach Moss. Zach Moss was inactive today, so that should tell you where he sits in the minds of the Bills coaching staff. He's had a really frustrating career up to this point, and I really do believe that the experiment with Moss is failed. It has failed the Bills. But I liked how Devin Singletary played today in the first half. I did not like how the offensive line played. I think if the Bills do trade, they need to solve their offensive line, because right now Ryan Bates, David Kessenberry, not been great for the Bills this season. So they may need to go out and trade for another decent offensive lineman from Carolina or maybe even Vegas if they keep screwing up. I think that should be a higher concern than a running back. But running back, if it's there for the right price, why not do it? Why not go out and get McCaffrey? Maybe I talk about this more in depth in a video, but I think for the right price, go for McCaffrey. He's an elite running back that has been misused by the Carolina Panthers. He's got that pass catching abilities, and he's a great runner. He's like a better version of James Cook. And now that's the one reason why I think the Bills may not go out and get McCaffrey, because we already have James Cook, and while he's not as physical as Christian McCaffrey, he certainly plays in that same style as that pass catching running back. He can also run. He's got great speed, good cut inside the tackles. I don't know. That's just me. But let's see how long I've been going for. Oh, about 20 minutes. So yeah, I think I'm going to cut it out there. I just want to get some of my thoughts. As you can tell, I've been doing this the entire game, just getting my hair all screwed up. So that's why that's that. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. The Bills have beaten the Chiefs 24-20. It was great. It was a nail-biting game, and it certainly ended much better than the last time these two teams faced off. So I expect another matchup to happen. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the season goes for both of these teams. But anyways, I was done. This is Buffalo Sports Center.